Okay, hear me out because this might be the most underrated deck for the entire July 2023 competitive Yu-Gi-Oh format, and it's incredibly budget. What's up, Ocean? You got Matt here, and welcome to another competitive Yu-Gi-Oh video. Today we are talking about one of the most underrated decks in the entire format, being Plunder Patrol. Thanks to the new Battles of Legends Monsters Revenge, the entire adventure core is now cheaper than ever and is honestly pretty budget. The entire engine of this deck is about $80, and the remaining 13 to 15 non-engine spots can be basically anything you want. So whatever your budget allows for it, just go ahead and do it. Now with that being said, if you guys are excited for the deck profile, then do me a favor and smash the like button, because at 75 likes, I'll bring you an amazing Plunder Patrol combo guide. Also, thank you so much for helping us reach 700 subscribers, but if you haven't subbed already and you're interested in more competitive Yu-Gi-Oh content, then make sure to join our community by subscribing. And now without further ado, here is the best Plunder Patrol deck profile for the July 2023 competitive Yu-Gi-Oh format. Let's jump into it. Alright, here we are with the deck profile portion of the video. We have a 41 card main, 15 card extra, and 15 card side deck. I have some suggestions for more budget alternatives and some suggestions for less budget alternatives, but let's just go ahead and jump into it and start off with our 41 card main deck. And we're gonna go ahead and start off with everything that we really want to have, our engine. That's going to be 3 copies of Whitebeard, the Plunder Patrol helm. This is a tuner for the archetype. It is a way to get these ships out on your opponent's turn in the archetype as well. When it is discarded, it lets you special summon a plunder from deck, which is amazing. The only thing that's a problem with this card, in my opinion, is that it has more than 1000 attack. Other than that, it would be perfect for the archetype, but still a fantastic card nonetheless. What is now arguably the best card in the main deck archetype is going to be Golden Hair, the newest Plunder Patrol, which is ironic because we are not putting this first. This is going to be, well, now in the middle. Either way, this card is great because once again, it is a tuner, which is ideal. It has less than 1000 attacks. When you normal it, you can make Almirage. It can special summon itself from the hand by discarding a plunder. If you discard another card, you can summon it from the graveyard, which is all really good because this is your way to get to cards like Blackbeard or cards like Jord, the new Plunder Patrol ship from Photon Hypernova. Very strong card to have access to. We then have 3 copies of Black Eyes, the Plunder Patrol Sea Guide. This is I think it's the only one in the entire deck that doesn't have a hollow printing. Of course, my Golden Hairs don't have hollow printings right now on those cards, but either way, Black Eyes is incredible because it is once again a free special summon. If you normal summon it, you can get access to the Almirage again. This also allows you to recur cards because in the hand you target a Plunder Patrol in your graveyard, add it to your hand and special summon this card, which is phenomenal. So a lot of really good things, and does have an effect when you discard it. Doesn't come up too often though. We then have Bluebeard, the Plunder Patrol Shipwright. Now Bluebeard is one of my favorite ones because it allows you to recycle and add your resources back, really, or not add your resources, but replenish your hand, I should say, and cycle cards that are more valuable. So essentially the card can special summon itself if you control another Plunder Patrol monster, which is huge, but if it's discarded, you can discard a card to draw another card, which is also really strong. It is a way to get you access to, again, your level 8 synchros, which are incredibly powerful because of this plus any of the tuners that we mentioned earlier. And then finally, the last card as part of the main monsters for the Plunder Patrol engine is going to be the 2 copies of Redbeard, the Plunder Patrol Matey. The reason why you only play 2 of these is because the discard effect is really not great. It does have the same ability to tag out on your opponent's turn into one of the ships, which is really nice. But again, the problem is its discard effect is just to attach itself to a Plunder Patrol monster as an equip spell. That's really it, which is not ideal in this scenario to play out of more than 2 copies. The rest of the lineup is really good. You have 14 main deck plunders, which is fantastic. Now moving on to the spell cards, we have 3 copies of Plunder Patrol Shipyard, the field spell for the Plunder archetype. This card is incredible. It's really solid because it allows you to continuously search for cards, but also because you're discarding a card to be able to search for a Plunder Patrol card, then you can trigger the discard effects of the Plunder Patrol monsters, which is really strong to net you even more advantage, turning the net neutral card advantage to a plus for you, which can be really strong. On top of that, a lot of the time your Plunder Patrol boss monsters, the ships, don't have the best stats, but for every plunder that's in your spell and trap zone, you can basically have them gain attack, which is really strong. And on top of that, it can recur itself. If this card is in the graveyard, you can target a Plunder Patrol that's in your spell and trap zone, and then you return that to the hand and then set this card. So you have a way to get back on the field, and you have a way to recycle the resources that are already on the board doing pretty much nothing, which is incredibly valuable. The last card in the Plunder Patrol engine is going to be the Emblem of the Plunder Patrol. I could have played Booty. I don't like it in this deck. I think it's really good in certain builds, but I'm not the biggest fan in my build right now. I just didn't like it in testing. Either way, this card Emblem is really solid. It's a way to get you access to not just any Plunder Patrol ship, but any Plunder Patrol ship with any attribute, because it doesn't matter about the cards that you have, that your opponent has rather, in their graveyard and their field. It can be any graveyard or any field, which is really, really powerful. And it also gives them 500 attack, and if the field spell is up, it's another 1000 attack. It's just really, really powerful from there. Now that's it for the Plunder Patrol engine. Let's go ahead and move on to the next engine, being the Adventure Token engine, starting off with 3 copies of Water Enchantress of the Temple, a fantastic card to get us access to our Rite of Aramasir. It's also a great special summon as well, which can be really nice on top of that. Rite of Aramasir is great because it'll get us the Adventure Token, but it'll also get us access to our Fateful Adventure, which will get us access to our Dracoback the Rideable Dragon, and of course our Omni Negate in the Wandering Griffin Rider. I want to shout out my buddy Milan from Locals for all the help in getting access to these cards. He lent them to me for this video. Really appreciate it with my package on the way. So shout out to him, or else I cannot bring you this specific build right now unless I'm using proxies, which I didn't really want to do. Now, this engine is obviously fantastic for a few reasons. Number one, Fateful Adventure is great because you're discarding cards consistently to be able to get access to cards that are in the Adventure Token engine. So being able to discard a Plunder Patrol card, getting advantage off that, and getting access to your Wandering Griffin Rider is great. Problem is, some of your Plunder Patrol cards, their effects will stop you from summoning other cards that are not Plunder Patrols. So you have to chain Griffin Rider to the effect of those to be able to summon itself out, which is really important, or else you don't have access to the Omni Negate right away in your opponent's standby phase, because it can only special summon itself out during the main phase. And finally, Dracoback is really good as well. You're discarding cards a lot, meaning that you can discard this card here to equip it directly to the token, which is obviously really powerful. Now let's go ahead and move on to some more defensive cards. We have 13, or we have, in this case we have, I think it's 14 cards that are non-engine right now, and a few of them are really good and a few of them are a bit more expensive, but there are suggestions to have alternatives, so keep that in mind. So starting off with a card that everyone should have now, it is going to be 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. This has been available in many structure decks. It is pretty budget. I think it's like a $3 card now. Very strong card to have access to. Helps it a lot with the branded matchup, which is a pretty common matchup in my locals. Speaking as a branded player, of course, but still a very strong card nonetheless. We then have 3 copies of Nibiru the Primal Being, just a fantastic card to have access to in any strategy. Right now, you want to make sure that you're having a way to deal with any combo deck that comes around. Being able to shut them down with Nibiru is really, really powerful. We then have 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. If you cannot afford the Infinite Impermanence, because they're like, what, $10 or something now, then you can switch it out for Effect Veiler. It is weaker to the called by, but it is slightly less weaker, I think, to Crossout Designator, so keep that in mind as well. Then we have, unfortunately, a proxy, 2 proxies rather. We have 3 copies of Book of Moon, which I have no idea where my last copy of Book of Moon went. Book of Moon is incredible, very good offensively and defensively, good going first and going second. And then we have 2 copies of Triple Tactics Talents. If you do not have enough room for talents, again, we are playing at 41 cards. If you want to cut it down to 40 even, get rid of the second talents. If you want to just replace talents with something altogether, just swap in something like you could do Kaijus, you could do cards like Droll and Lockbird, you can do pretty much anything you like that's a good going second card. That could also be decent going first, so I would recommend another Hand Trap in its place instead. So that's going to be it for our 41 card main deck. I think the list is super, super solid here. One of the best cards in this deck, honestly, is going to be the Triple Tactics Talents, and I love seeing Book of Moon in my opening hand because it's great going first and going second. So just keep that in mind as well. I think it's a fantastic card in the metagame today. But let's go ahead and jump into our extra deck. Moving on to our 15 card extra deck, we have 3 copies of a Blackbeard, the Plunder Patrol Captain. I love this card. I think it is absolutely fantastic. Also one of the best cards to have on a thumbnail. This card is incredible because not only does it get you a draw, but it also gets you access to pretty much any of your ships during your main phase, or, well, your opponent's turn rather, or your turn, I should say. Just a fantastic card to have access to, really, really strong. We also then have 2 copies of Plunder Patrol List. This is my favorite of the ships in terms of having on my opponent's turn what I want to have access to, because it is effect negation for a monster, which is really, really powerful. You also are able to special summon a Plunder from your hand or your spell and trap zone, which is really good. And if you do the effect negation, then you're able to, and it's equipped with a Plunder card, I should say, you're able to add a Plunder Patrol card from your deck to your hand, which is really, really strong. We then have 2 copies of Plunder Patrol Mork. If that's how you pronounce it, I really hope it is. This card is not terrible. It's the Dark Ship, which is, again, a pretty solid archetype, or attribute, I should say, to have access to, which is nice. It is not effect negation, but it is a banish for a monster, which is really strong, an effect monster, I should say. And it's a quick effect only if it's equipped with a Plunder Patrol card, so not the best, and usually want to summon it in defense position. We then have 2 copies of Plunder Patrol Bran. I like this one a lot as well. Bran is really solid. It's the biggest one of the bunch because as soon as it's on the field, it's 2500 attack, and then all other fiends you have, which the plunders are all fiends, gain 500 attack, which is really strong. It is a spell and trap banish as well, which is really nice. Or banish or destruction, I think it's yeah, banish. It's a banish that it is. And then it's a quick effect if you are equipped with a Plunder Patrol card, so really strong as well. And then finally we have two of the newest one, the Plunder Patrol Ship Jord. This card is incredible, and I've been trying to end on it more and more, especially equipped with a Plunder Patrol card, because its effect when it's on the field is really good. Most of the time people just know it because of the effect it has in the scale and the secondary effect, which will allow you to like open up your combo. But here's what it does. Essentially, you're going to set this up with like your golden hair and any other level 4, or your white beard and any other level 4. But the main goal of this is going to be able to, when it's on your field, you can target a Plunder Patrol card in your graveyard, add it to your hand, and then put this card in your scale. Then within your scale, you can use its effect to be able to give your opponent and yourself any token. It's a Plunder Patrol ship, or Plunder Patrol token, I should say, and that's going to be of any attribute that you choose. So it could be light, could be earth, could be water, could be fire, could be whatever. Just don't choose wind because there are no wind ships yet, but it's really, really strong. On top of that, if your opponent special summons a monster, except during the damage step, of course, you can then add a Plunder Patrol card from your deck to your hand, and if it's equipped with a Plunder Patrol card at the time, you can then special one from your deck as well, which is incredibly powerful. That's going to be 11 slots in our extra deck, just used up for the engine, quote unquote, of the deck, the Plunder Patrol ships. If anything, you want to cut a card down, I think Plunder Patrol ship brand can be cut down to 1, but I don't really want to, because honestly, right now, Labyrinth is one of the best decks in the format. Getting rid of their spells and traps is great. In terms of non-Plunder Patrol ship cards, we have the 1 copy of Bahamut Shark and the 1 copy of Totally Awesome. I love having this as just a generic way to get to a negate, which could be really powerful depending on what your opponent is playing, so just keep that in mind. We then have the 1 copy of Divine Arsenal AA Zeus Sky Thunder. If you want to get rid of a card to make the deck more budget, this is another one you can get rid of. It is not necessary. I would say there's a lot of other options to have access to. You can have a second copy of this card here, which is going to be Salamangreat Great Almirage, which I think is incredibly important for the deck. You have to play Almirage in this deck, because with this card in your extra deck, you can make Golden Hair a 1.5 card way to get access to the Blackbeard, which is so strong against a lot of different matchups. So just keep that in mind. Basically what you're going to do is you're going to normal the Golden Hair, you're going to link into the Almirage, you're going to discard a card to bring back the Golden Hair, and then link into the Blackbeard. So keep that in mind. Very, very strong. That's going to be our 15 card extra deck. Let's move on to our side deck. As for the side deck, a lot of thought went into this one, but pretty clearly you're going to be playing 3 copies of Dimensional Barrier. This is one of the best side deck cards in the game. It prevents your opponent from going into XCs, Synchros, Fusions, Pendulums, whatever you really need them to do outside of Links, which is really strong, and it negates their effects as well. Just keep in mind that you might have a Fusion monster on the field, like Plunder Patrol Ship Lease, so just again, keep it in mind. We then have 3 copies of Dark Ruler No More for when we're made to go second. Just a fantastic card to have access to in most situations because it keeps the monsters on the board. You can use your powerful effects on them to get into your really strong ships, which is really solid. We then, of course, want to make sure our opponent has access to the attributes that we want them to have. So we have 3 kaiju. We have Thunder King the Lightning Strike Kaiju, Dogron the Mad Flame Kaiju, and Radiant the Multidimensional Kaiju. Now, I'll be honest, are these the best kaijus to play? No, but for this deck, they are. You have a light, a fire, and a dark. You have Mork as a dark, you have Bran as a fire, and you have Elise as a light. The only one I'm not playing here is going to be the Kumungus, the Sticky String Kaiju, but I don't think that it's the best option to have access to. And if you want to play a heavier Kaiju version with 4 Kaijus, play Interrupted Kaiju Slumber as well, and just play them all in the main deck and just go second all the time. That's my recommendation to you. We also have 3 copies of Droll and Lock, but I want to have more ways to have access to some good going first cards that weren't just going to be, well, D-Barrier and that's it. So I want to have a Droll and Lockbird, which is not terrible for going first to stop your opponent from searching for all their outs, which could be pretty damn solid. We then, of course, have our back removal in 2 copies of Cosmic Cyclone and the 1 Harpy's Feather Duster. And that's it. That is 15 card extra deck, 15 card side deck, and the 41 card main deck. So guys, if you enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed this deck profile, then do me a favor and smash the like button, because again, at 75 likes, I'll be bringing you an amazing combo guide for Plunder Patrol. And of course, subscribe to the channel as well. We're on the road to 1,000 subs. We can't get there without your help. And also, thank you again for helping us reach 700 subs. And just so you know, only about 5% of our viewers are subscribed to the channel, so make sure to hit that sub button if you haven't already. And of course, comment your thoughts, criticisms, suggestions down in the comments below. I would love to read them and respond to every single one. Thank you all for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all next time.